Hello everyone. How are you doing this morning? How are you doing this morning? Let me get something. Let me get my earphones. I forgot to put it. Silly me. There we go. I want to discuss again some other things and it's on the same topic with Plato. To explain to people what Platonists believe. Not all of them believe the same thing, especially about especially about synthesizing Aristotle and Plato. That's a big mess. I want to talk about the problem of dualism in Plato. Plato's a dualist and he's a mystic. So let's move the image to this. Five Platonic solids. The, you could say, fundamental, intelligible principles of concentric spheres, we're calling, that account for division in reality. They're mystical elements that explain the five elements. The ether, some mystical element. But this gets into the theory of Plato's topology. What did Plato believe? Well, Plato believed, he was committed to the original mythos. That is, if he did, that man was that female male was split from one body into two. The original form archetype of man was androgynous, and you can look out that word. He was an intermediary to account for the two in one. The one split away, dissimulation. You became deprived of being, beauty, whatever, from the Prometheus and the gods and rebellion and cosmic theatrical circles. But I want to read a passage from the Timaeus since I have it in front of me from the study I did a long time ago. He combined the two substances, talking about the demiurge, the one divisible and never changing, the other divided and created substance of the physical world into intermediate third kind of substance. Okay, he's talking about tripartite division. In case both read in difference like form intermediaries between each spectrum in which it divided and spectrum in which it divided in physical realm. Physical realm, by the way, is sensible, so not how we understand physical. It's talking about the nature, which is a hard thing to explain in this view, because matter doesn't really mean much. But once again, he had both mixed ideal indifference and substance and created a single blend of three ingredients. He divided the whole mixture again, many portions as needed, each proportion to the blend of identity, difference, and substance. And talks about, division, etc. Unit of division. So I'm going to read also other, relevant passages from the Timaeus, which is one of his famous works. Timaeus was from Italy, not Greece. It's sort of like a sphere, you know. He's making a distinction between the macrocosm and the microcosm. What does he think the macrocosm is? The microcosm. This is a very ancient idea that man is the head of the creation. He's nous. Where he says head in kingship, dominion is the nous. With him is not. How the Orthodox Christian understand nous. Nous or Plato is more of an intellectual capacity to contemplate intelligible beings, to assimilate them through, negation and dialectic. That's not Christian. That's denying the problem of sin, but that's another topic. So it's talking about, where's the image? Here. He has sort of a diagram. I'm not going to show the diagram because it's incomprehensible. To explain how the permanent, when he says permanent being as ousia, he thinks that's being, meaning permanence, eternity. Being partible, talking about the flesh, or the thing that moves, motion, passivity, change, between the soul. So you've got the being, the ousia, being partible. It is mixed with ousia, it is forced with permanence in eternity. Because in Plato, those are the dichotomy between move and unmoved. A very strict sense of unmoved. Many things are unmoved that move in a different mode of being, but that's another topic. He says for the tripartite diagram, he says there's soul, ousia. We get the Greek word essence, and the Latin essentia or esse, et energy, energia. This is a very commonly used word in literature in the ancient Greek philosophers. All ways which can be moved with emotion, ordered motion towards anything, energy, change, charge, change, power, dunamis, all the ways which it can be known, becoming must be like being, because for Plato, becoming is participation, and participation in its copy, its imitation, its simulacrum, its symbol, when it becomes united in a particular mode being, according to its proportionate principle. Okay, that's all it means. It's sort of like a model when you paint, and each proportion is perfect according to its logos on the thing you're painting. You'll become harmonious. The divisions of harmony is the harmonics of Pythagoras. So the soul is one ousia. It is an image of the one ousia, the paradigm of the soul. Paradigm is said to be that which everything else is derived. True. This isn't wrong. We agree with this in some respect, without the paganism behind. Is an image of the one. Why? Because it's most primordial. It's most perfect. He says as well that it is like a continuously rotating sphere that contemplates its perfection in itself, meaning without any contrary or anything contradicting it in a strict sense. That's what you get in part 37, CE. To know itself is to means the motion in this not partible, turning about, it moved, such perfect harmony. I was talking harmony. A measured motion, appropriate to the circumstances, and since it knows itself, meaning its archetype, its form, its logos, although in the ousia. That's called the metaphor that Plato uses and Plotinus and many other commentators is the fullest flowering. Now this gets into reincarnation and the soul having metaphysically having wings in an app, having wings and flying away from its body as a tomb, ascension to the realm of forms, through, beyond the world. So those three, which are a way in which to see it, can be said to function in the soul, meaning powers and its function and corresponding knowing its flowering of its activities. There's a harmony in the verge of nature, and is knowing that has the nosia, it is a palpability of the soul or mind. What is it in itself? Expresses some idea. So an analogy is a metaphor is being illustrated by Plato. A fullest flowering to emerge. Okay, why is he saying emerge? Well, in his thought, he's talking about reincarnation. He's talking about the philosopher king. If you want some in the Republic, if you read Education, he's talking about the philosopher king, the nous returning to its likeness, its perfect order. Would mean as well that the creation, you're the intermediary between the creation. Well, creation for him is eternal, it's just order. from the demiurge. He says in the Timaeus, because one may contemplate intelligible beings in the forms, intelligible beings being the forms. That's what he means simply, and it can mean a lot of other things, but that's simply what it can mean, and a lot of things, as I said. But it's really autistically stupid in the way it's expressed sometimes. He says, time is a moving image of eternity. Everything that is said to have existence must have an imitator. Now, Plato would say everything has an imitator, including evil, by the way. It's just a negative form, which is question begging into what evil exists. But it's eternal creation, you get massive problems, you know? So this is sort of the image, if you can see. Timaeus is object holding in the stars in the heavens. You can see. Look at this. This is the image, you know? The Timaeus I'm reading is from Oxford. This is the best one I've translated. I haven't read the other copies because I don't really care. This is enough for me. Um, Plato talks a lot about soul, ousia. Is because he's going off the idea that there's a world soul. The world soul is the substance of each opposite for element creation to unite it wholly to its life, meaning rational soul, because he believes that souls pre-exist in the inanimate objects, rational souls, or have rational soul because they participate and couldn't exist without otherwise. So that's the dialectic he gives, and it is based on the principle of likeness and otherness. It's not contradicting. So Plato has a problem with reconciling otherness, indifference, and negation on different levels. That is to do different types of knowledge, particulars, universals, genus, species, properties, essence. Those type of things. And he doesn't do it in a sort of analytical fashion. He does it in a very highly metaphysical one without diagrams. He expects us to know because it's like about perceiving the morals of everything. And the whole point of being the macrocosm is that the man must attain, because he's not like an animal, he must ascend to the gods. He must be like God. That is the Promethean archetype, which you've probably heard others say, but that's why. That's the point of the Aesop philosopher king, is to bring about a world, a utopia, that is ruled